Hey guys, I'm Viratji of Class 7. In this video, I'll explain the Chapter 3 of Ratna Sagar Class 7 textbook. So let's start with Chapter 3 of Science, which is Structure of Matter. So let us start. It is saying, what is matter made up of? So it is asking a question, what is matter made up of? So let's read further. Let us recall what we have learned about the structures of matter in Class 6. Kannada, the great Indian sage of ancient time, was probably the first to suggest that all matter is composed of very small particles. He gave the name Anu to these particles. So in this first paragraph, the book is telling about Kannada, who is a great Indian sage. Sage means a philosopher of ancient time, and he was the first to suggest that matter is made up of very small particles. And he gave these particles name Anu. Let's read further. Let us take an example. A piece of iron is made up of matter. If iron piece is broken, what happens? It forms a smaller piece of iron. If we continue breaking this piece of iron, it forms still smaller and smaller pieces. However, this must end somewhere. It should be possible to get the smallest piece of iron that cannot be broken any further. So in this book it is taken an example of a piece of iron. It is saying, what if we break the iron pieces into two? And what if we break them into smaller and smaller parts until we get the smallest piece of iron? Now let's read further. John Dalton, a scientist of 19th century, named the smallest piece of iron as iron atom. So when we get the smallest particle of iron, John Dalton, a scientist of 19th century, named this smallest particle of iron as iron atom. Similarly, the smallest piece of gold is called a gold atom. So the smallest piece of any matter is an atom. So it is giving example, the smallest piece of iron is iron atom, the smallest piece of gold is a gold atom. Atoms are so small that they cannot be seen by a most powerful microscope. So atoms are so smaller that they cannot be even seen by the most powerful microscope. Approximately 4 million gold of atom placed at end to end, forming a line, form only 1 millimeter in length. So you can imagine how small are these atoms, which when they are placed in a line, 4 billion atoms are placed in line, they form only 1 millimeter of length. The smallest particle of gold and iron are gold atom and iron atom respectively. However, the smallest particle of water is not water atom. Why? This is because water is made up of two different kinds of atom, oxygen atom and hydrogen atom. The smallest particle of water contains two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. These form of molecule of water. So it is saying the smallest part of iron and gold are iron atom and gold atom. But the smallest part of water is not water, because water is made up of two different kind of atoms. So the smallest particle of water will be atom, because if we divide the water into two, we will get two atoms. So it is not like that. The smallest particle of water will be molecule. Elements and compounds. Now we will read about elements and compounds. So iron, gold, hydrogen and oxygen are some example of substance that are made up of only one kind of atom. They are called element. So element are those substances which are made up of only one kind of atom. Like oxygen is made up of only oxygen atom, and iron is made up of only iron atom, and gold is also made up of only gold atoms. A substance that is made up of only one kind of atom that cannot be broken down into simpler substances by a chemical method is known as element. So here is another definition. A substance that is made of only one kind of atom and that cannot be divided further with a chemical reaction is known as an element. Smallest particle of an element is an atom, like gold atom, silver atom. Though some atoms cannot exist independently, as we will see a little later. So they are saying some atoms cannot exist independently. So we'll see them later. There are about 118 different elements known to us. Out of these, 98 elements occur naturally on the earth, and the other have been made by scientists in the laboratory. So they are saying there are 118 different kind of elements, out of which 92 are natural, and other except the 92 are made in the laboratories by the scientists. Let's read further. Water is made up of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. It is a compound of two or more elements in fixed proportion is called a compound. The smallest particle of compound is a molecule. So it is saying water is made up of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. So we cannot say that smallest particle of water will be a water atom, because water is made up of two atoms, which is hydrogen and oxygen. So they are known as compounds because they are made in fixed proportion by two or more elements, and their smallest part is the compound molecule. How elements form compounds? Think of atom like alphabet of letters. We join different letters to make a word. Thousands of words can be found just by 26 letters. In the same way, atoms combine together to make molecules. Millions of different kind of molecules can be made from only about 100 different kind of atoms. That is why we see millions of compounds around us, like water, sugar, chalk, vinegar, and salt are all compounds. So it is saying how there are only 118 kind of elements and millions of compounds. So it is telling us an example. We shall take atoms as letters and we can join them in different order and make thousands of words. We can take the atoms as letter. So there are 118 different kind of element. So we can mix up the elements in different order and make millions of compounds. So let's read further. Their molecules are different from each other. This is a difference in molecules is the reason why salt is salty and sugar is sweet. So in every compound, the molecule is different from each other. So that is why salt is salty and sugar is sweet. Let us define atoms and molecules. An atom is the smallest particle of an element that can take part in chemical reaction. It may or may not exist independently. A molecule is the smallest particle of an element or a compound that is normally exist independently. So they are telling the definition of atoms and molecules. So the definition of atom is, it is the smallest particle of an element that can take part in chemical reaction, and it may or may not exist independently. And molecule is the smallest part of a element or a compound that normally exist independently. It is fascinating to see that two atoms, gases, hydrogen and oxygen, can combine to form water, which is a liquid, or the atom of two poisonous substances, sodium and chlorine, can combine together to form salt, a compound we use every day. So it means to say that in compounds, no matter what kind of the atoms are, it will not affect on the compound formed. So it is giving the example of water and salt. So water are formed by two gases, which are hydrogen and oxygen. So when these two are gases, but when they are mixed together, they form a liquid substance called water. And same with the salt also. Salt is made up of two poisonous substances, which is sodium and chlorine. They are very poisonous, and their reaction makes salt, which we eat every day. Occurrence. Many elements have a great tendency to combine with each other to form compound. These elements, therefore, not found in free state in nature. They only occur in combined form as compound. Very few elements occur in free state in nature. Some of these are oxygen, nitrogen, and gold. Most of the pure elements are obtained by breaking compound into its constituent elements. For example, oxygen and hydrogen can be obtained by electrolysis of water. So it is saying many elements have great tendency to combine with each other. Tendency means ability to combine with each other to form compound. Elements, many have great tendency, so they always mix, and only some elements are found independently in the nature. They are oxygen, nitrogen, and gold. And mostly pure elements are made by distributing the constituents of a compound. Like water is a compound, and if we pass electricity through water, it is known as electrolysis. We can take out the oxygen and hydrogen. Properties of a compound. So now we will read the properties of the compound. A compound can be broken down into its constituent by chemical method. So it is saying a compound can be broken down into its constituents, like we have water, and we have to break them into oxygen and hydrogen. So we cannot just take out by a physical method. We have to do chemical method to take out. Like passing electricity through water is a chemical method. So compound can be broken down into its constituents by chemical methods. Example, let's see. For example, water molecules of 2 atoms, hydrogen and 1 atom oxygen, can be broken down into elements by passing through electricity. As I said, a compound always contains the same element combined together chemically in a fixed ratio. This is very important. It is saying a compound always contains the same element combined chemically with fixed ratio. So you must know the formula of water, which is H2O. Now water will you take from anywhere, it will be H2 only. The formula will be H2 only, not will be H1O2. It will be not like that, because in water there will be a fixed ratio, which is hydrogen, which is 2 atoms, and oxygen, which is 1 atom. The properties of a compound are different from those of the properties of its constituent element. So it is saying no matter what two elements we take to form up the compound, their properties will not be shown up in the compound. Example of water, which is formed by two gaseous substances, hydrogen and oxygen, and when we combine them both, we get water, which is a liquid substance. And it is giving another example for water, which is saying nitrogen and oxygen support burning, but water repels burning. So it is not necessary that when two elements show up their properties in the compound. So in today's video, I'll explain till here only. In the next video, I'll explain the further part of this chapter. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any queries, please drop it in the comment section below. I'll surely try to solve it in the next video. Till then, goodbye.